True.
But I'm ready.
Reshma?
Yeah.
हो मॅम करा चालू.
Charlie. Thank you. So, welcome Chandrasekhar sir for this program jointly with NSDL on investor awareness. Generally, it is the case with any branch of ICAI that we are trying actively to make the investors aware about what all things are there, not only from their money point of view, but also from risk point of view. And especially in this COVID times, it is very important for any person to understand that what are things which we need to take care of. So I think your topic today on which you are going to speak is very apt, especially about what care to take and investments, how we need to look at it after this pandemic situation. And even I was, whenever I think of investment, it is very, the one question which comes to my mind is that whether I'm going to invest or the money is going in waste.
Okay.
So that is one thing I'm always scared of, but I'm sure that after listening to you, some of my difficulties would vanish, and especially in this risky situation. Dear friends who are and participants of today, I would like to introduce now our today's speaker, Chandrasekhar Tiyak sir. He has retired in May 2020 after 22 years working with NSDL. His last designation was Chief Risk Officer and Executive Vice President of NSDL E-Governance Infrastructure Limited. He has literally handled number of schemes, and that too very interesting. It is very interesting to know that what all he has handled. He was also handling activities related to NPS, that is National Pension Scheme, then also CMMI certifications, CRA FC inspection, then call center coordination, stock exchange settlement, surveillance, and so many other things. He was earlier associated with even SEBI as Division Chief Investigation Officer. In fact, he was the youngest division chief. Then he was also deputed to Stock Exchange Mumbai, and in fact, there also he has created a record by being the youngest officer sent on deputation. Earlier, he was also working with accounts and finance of two separate companies, one of which was a UK Indian subsidiary. He has also been awarded. There is a list of awards which he has received, and also a list of books which he has published. It would be very interesting to see that he is on his fifth edition of Arthanubhav and 15th edition of Guntavanuk Panchayatan. I hope that this participants here today would definitely take there is really a list, and I would be sharing with all of you. There are 21 books which he has written till to date, and also it is contains two collections of short stories. One is called Arthaswar and another is Jan Majula. I have not yet read them, but I'll be soon reading them, and I hope everyone would also. His awards and felicitations I would read now. The most important ones, of course, Dr. R.P. Parnerkar Economics Award. He has also been awarded the Udyam Kaustubh Award. Then SICOM has also awarded him as Anand Bhadkamkar Award. Then there are Giants Award. Then another organizations like United Western Bank, National Savings Organization have also awarded him. So latest he has got Excellence Award by Pumba, that is Pune University's MBA division. He has been giving lectures and making presentations, and till now he has completed more than 3,500 lectures on economic and investment topics. Sir, are you eligible for Guinness World?
I'm not aware.
Okay, might as well you need to check then. It is really a feat in itself to deliver more than 3,500, up to 4,000 lectures itself must be a feat. He has participated in many investment seminars, and you can also see him on radio and TV programs. So I hope our finance minister would soon give us a chance to listen to him once again with many new things coming up. He has also been guest faculty at various places. So, sir, we are really thankful for you to have spared your time, because we know how much difficult it is to get your time. You have been so busy. But thank you really for sparing your time with us. And I now request you to start your session.
Good evening, friends. Right at the outset, I'm really thankful to all of you for providing me this particular opportunity. As per the original schedule, I was supposed to conduct a lecture on the first day itself, but I got held up in some other post-retirement assignments and I was not able to make it on time. And so I'm really thankful to the managing committee and especially Deepak Korgaonkar in particular for making a last minute change. So instead of speaking on the first day of this 3-part investment awareness program, I will be speaking on a last part. But that has, to be honest, made my job more difficult because already one managing committee member and one CA professional, Nikhilesh Soman, has already addressed you. One has addressed you as far as the technical analysis is concerned, another is from a psychological and a fundamental kind of a scenario. As far as my topic today is concerned, I will be speaking to you more from the viewpoint of a post-COVID investment scenario. As I have been just introduced to you, I'm really thankful to Ruta Madam for such a kind words of introduction. Because when you are very recently retired, such words of introduction really boosts your morale. And especially when you have not attended office from 20th of March, because although I retired on 31st of May, because of the lockdown and everything, that was my last working day. And for the last 22 years of my career, I was used to work at least 15 to 16 hours a day. And when you are at a stage for more than 15, 16 weeks at home, it really becomes very difficult. Because one thing is very sure, whether because of Corona or otherwise, your negativity comes to the fore very fast rather than the positivity. And under such circumstances, if you look at the investment scenario which is prevailing in our country, certainly I would like to share my views. But right at the outset, let me say that these are my personal views in the sense that now I'm no more associated with any office as such. And that's why those obligations or disclaimer clauses are not applicable to me. But why I said that these are my personal views is because investment I always feel is a matter or a field of interpretation. So if any one of you is having some other views kind of a scenario, I'm certainly ready to discuss and I can listen to you per se. And as I have decided, I've discussed with managing committee members while finalizing this schedule, I will keep on speaking for at least first hour or so or more than that. Meanwhile, if you have any point which you feel that I should address it or I cover it in my session, or if you have any questions related to the point which I am discussing, you are free to put it into a chat box. I will try my level best to include them right at that moment itself as far as my ongoing deliberations are concerned. And if something has raised, if something has said that I need to say something, then right at the outset, right at the end of my session, I would love to conduct a question answer session per se. Point number one. Point number two. As far as today's post-COVID investment scenario is concerned, I am very much aware that majority of you are practicing chartered accountants or in one way or the other are associated with investment field directly. But I would like to consider even some pre-COVID alignments and pre-COVID announcements as well, which has seen the impact as far as the current investment scenario is concerned. Especially when we are speaking about this particular topic and BSE Sensex is at somewhere around in the vicinity of 38,690 or 38,700. Although I have spent my career of more than 32 years as far as investment field is concerned, whether it is a Bombay Stock Exchange, SEBI, or one broking firm, or as Ruta Madam said, last 22 years with NSDL. And as you are aware that I have been conducting the budget analysis programs since 1988, and probably that has contributed as far as these 3,500 lectures are concerned. And for last assignment, as far as my NSDL was concerned, I was a national in charge for a national pension system and implementation of NPS with states, state autonomous bodies, and implementation of Atal Pension Yojana and Swavlamban, along with various other administrative aspects related thereto, not the investment one, but the administrative one, were basically my forte. And that enabled me to keep on moving across the country. I used to visit each and every state at least once in 3 months, for 10 consecutive years. And that has given me a first-hand experience, not only of a policy framing, but also of a policy implementation. And drawing from these experiences and other public courses or the public interactions per se, I will be basing my views and experiences and which I would like to share with a esteemed gathering as far as this particular program is concerned. Right at the outset, I must say that whatever may be the current level of our BSE Sensex or a Nifty, I will be repeatedly referring to BSE Sensex because although I have worked with NSDL for more than 20 years, I feel more comfortable when it comes to investment when I'm speaking in terms of BSE Sensex rather than Nifty. There is every likelihood that first two the faculty members or the speakers of this program might have referred to Nifty more than a Sensex, but as I have cut my teeth in this field with Bombay Stock Exchange, old habits die hard. So I'll be referring again and again to BSE Sensex. There is no need to say that generally the trend of BSE Sensex gets reflected as far as the Nifty movements are concerned. Only thing is that BSE Sensex is roughly 2.2 to 2.6 times more than a movement of NSE Nifty per se. Number one. Number two, basically, as far as BSE Sensex is concerned, you would have noticed over there that certainly the trading volumes also are equally fluctuating, not only on a daily basis, but even on a week-to-week basis or a month-to-month basis. Barring few scripts, which can be virtually counted on fingertips or at the max at the back of envelope kind of a calculation, they are having only the regular volumes. But again, a composition of that basket of 100 plus minus scripts is also changing. And certainly, these are the indications as far as the ongoing scenario are concerned. If you permit me, I would like to say or seek some sort of a paint a picture as far as what are the factors which have contributed to a current scenario and how one can do it as far as the other issues are concerned would be my criteria. Because one thing has emerged very clearly that completely speaking from an investment angle, no political angle at all. There is no need to explain what kind of a political color one may have as far as his personal life is concerned. But as far as investment life is concerned, one thing is very clear that finance or economics is turning out to be a soft belly of a Modi government. Not only of a Modi government in general, in particular, but virtually that is happening the case across the globe. On one hand, one thing is very certain, as my topic suggests, that I will be concentrating or taking COVID and China aggression as a cornerstone as far as my deliberations are concerned. Purposely, I made a mention of a China aggression because I personally feel or I personally believe that Corona was not merely a medical mishap. It was certainly some sort of a planned kind of a thing. Whether it is going to be a testing of their medical weapons as far as China is concerned or not, one will have to wait. How much one will have to wait would depend, because all of you must have heard the name of Warren Buffett. Certainly, his name is nowadays more in discussion in our country because now he is no more as far as the list of top five global riches are concerned. And he was displaced from this particular list by our very own Mukesh Ambani. As far as the current year list is concerned, Warren Buffett is at a rank 7. But this is happening after almost 40 years that Warren Buffett is not among top 4 as far as the global riches are concerned. All of us are aware that even in this particular pandemic situation, a company of whose he is a chairman, namely Berkshire Hathaway, that a $10 face value share is getting quoted at not less than 2.80 lakh dollars per share. If that is going to be a pandemic situation, just imagine what would have been its potential if it would have been a favorable time per se. But now I'm not on his exploit per se. If you, anyone of you is really interested in knowing much more about the latest details of him, I can very much say, although I'm not propagating my book, but it is not a commercial break per se, or it is not even a strategic timeout as it is the case in IPL. But certainly, if any one of you is so really interested, I would request you, if you are fond of reading Marathi books, as Ruta Madam has said that my book, Guntavanuk Panchayatan, which is running into its 15th edition, published by Rajhaus Prakashan from very much of Pune itself, you can certainly have a look at it. If you want to have a latest version of it, and that too in an audio form, then I have started my own YouTube channel in the month of April. Already more than 2,000 subscribers have associated, and more than 77 videos have been uploaded on it. And from 26th of May to 30th of May, I have run a series of videos. And one of them on 28th of May was also on Warren Buffett, which is lasting for more than 2 hours. And why I'm saying so much? Because he is becoming more and more relevant as far as the post-COVID investment scenarios are concerned. And another reason why his name was much more in the topic or in current discussions, that there was a news circulating widely and wildly that Warren Buffett has sold some shares and he has started investing in gold. It is a classic example how the media misinterprets a particular thing. And probably that's what exactly is the sine qua non as far as the post-COVID investments are concerned. One thing is certain that people are in a mood to keep on booking the profits at various levels. But that doesn't mean that it's a misnomer or there is some sort of uncertainty as far as the market is concerned. Sometimes media also plays a game. Sometimes the misinterpretation of information also plays a game. And most importantly, sometimes the recent change in stance as far as the investment policies and strategies are concerned, sometimes, although it is not intended to have that particular thing as an effect or an effect, it does affect the scenario. As far as Warren Buffett is concerned, why I'm giving that particular example, there are two more reasons to say, because that's what describes as far as today's scenario is concerned. When Indian media, print as well as electronic, was discussing that Warren Buffett has sold the shares of Wells Fargo or Warren Buffett has sold the shares of some companies which has bought after 2008, that was the fact. But one needs to be realized that cost of holding of those companies as far as Warren Buffett was concerned, if it was not zero, it was almost equivalent to a zero. He has already earned a huge profit thereof. So it was more of booking a profit and placing it under some circumstances where he would be in a better position to play a long-term investor. Many of you be aware that Warren Buffett is a known long-term investor. His favorite statement or a maxim goes is that his favorite holding time is forever. Under such circumstances, it is a realignment of sources or a realignment of investment sources. Just before we started our session, we were having I was having a chat with Ruta madam, and she said, or even in her introductory, she said that whenever she is putting her money in something, the question pops up in her mind whether she is investing or whether it is going in West. If you are not able to book a profit and realign with the emerging opportunity, then certainly it is going to be invest. But if you are really able to book a profit and keep on circulating, as there is a saying in Marathi, घोडं अडलं का, पान सडलं का, भाकरी करपली का, फिरवली नाही म्हणून. That what is it that if you keep on changing a composition, not necessarily frequently, but it can't be a holding time as such. Under such circumstances, this scenario would put you into just a pause as far as the investment scenario is concerned. And he not only, but another misnomer was that he has not invested in gold, because that was a discussion which was going on in our country, especially since the month of June. As many of you may be aware, after my retirement, I have started conducting the paid and commercial basis online training sessions, which I conduct every Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30. And those programs were attended from the people, more than 350 people have attended so far, as far as my last 15 programs are concerned. And they are from across the country and even within the country, right from Delhi and Chennai, and then America, Australia, New Zealand, and those kind of a scenario. I have seen one particular pattern, that something is getting sold in our country like very aggressively. Probably it is the fate of banking and financial services. They are targeting the community-wise questions. And when I'm using the word community, it is more in a sociological terminology rather than any religious terminology kind of a scenario. Basically, if they are, whenever that particular sovereign gold bonds were getting launched into our country, at least more than 100 people asked me the question, and that's why I'm connecting it with Warren Buffett gold scenario. And during that particular phase only, this particular thing was getting circulated, that Warren Buffett has sold the equities and Warren Buffett has started investing in gold. So if you are not able to invest in gold, at least invest in a gold bond kind of a scenario. And those questions which was asked by 100 plus minus people, there were certain similarities as far as the questioners were concerned. All of them were in the age group 28 to 35. Basically, being a policy person, I move on to statistics and try to find out a pattern. Because I have started my career as a computer programmer with ICL UK way back in 1980. And then I worked with ICL UK, then I worked with Blue Star, then I got bored of those accounts and finance, because I'm not a chartered accountant like you. You would have realized that. Because although Ruta madam was so superlative as far as introducing me was concerned, she even didn't dare to say what my educational qualifications are. She can't, because I have not mentioned it in my biodata. I have not mentioned it in my biodata because they are not worth mentioning in the biodata. But I have started learning these particular patterns, and especially when I was the investigation officer for Harshad Mehta, Ketan Parekh, C.R. Bansali, and subsequently Reliance Share Switch. That has taught me to find out a pattern. And then I realized this pattern as far as these gold bonds are concerned was that they were basically all from IT professionals. That means a fund manager or an issuer planner are certainly targeting a particular investment community, age community, or a professional community. This is the first sine qua non as far as the investment scenarios are concerned. Probably this would become much more visible when you are finalizing the tax returns for your clients for the next year. I'm not talking about the current year, because as far as year 2019-20 is concerned, now we have to file the returns after up to 30th of November 2020. But if I have to file a return for 2020-21, all of the chartered accountants do ask for our demat account statements. In that case, from my statement of transaction, will be trying to find out. Then you would realize that whether this particular thing is getting accentuated, not only those investment issue managers are mis-selling or targeting this audience, because what Warren Buffett has done is that Warren Buffett has not invested in gold as a metal. Warren Buffett has not invested in gold as a commodity. What Warren Buffett has done is that he has acquired a controlling stake in a company which manufactures or mines the gold as far as America and Venezuela is concerned. So he continues to be an equity player, and he's not that he has disbanded everything as far as the equities are concerned and he has moved to the gold. There was a belief to be made, because it needs to be believed, because somewhere in the decade of 1990s, Warren Buffett has done that. But it was not that his entire shareholding of his company, Berkshire Hathaway, whose share prices I just quoted, that he has made it zero. It's not. But he's saying that as far as the banking and financial services are concerned, which are much more closer to our heart, and that's why I cited this example right at the outset, not to push my CV, but to push a point that basically this particular phenomenon is certainly a post-COVID scenario. Many of you may be recollecting that somewhere in the late 1990s, Bill Gates had said at that point of time that banking is long dead, but long live banking. What he has said at that point of time is becoming relevant in today's post-COVID scenario as well. Because there was another murmur in our country, and that's what I'm trying to say, correlate a development in the equity investment field and try to correlate it with government announcements or otherwise per se. Just there is, all of you would recollect that very recently there was a murmur in our country that as once the central government has passed that banking and financial services bill in parliament, especially in a noisy scenario in Rajya Sabha, it would affect the banking sectors per se to a great extent. That has not, because to be honest, that particular thing or that particular act was much more relevant to the cooperative banks. And the shares of a cooperative banks is not a listed entity or a listed investment opportunity as far as our country's current investment scenario is concerned. You would have noticed that I paid the emphasis as far as the word current is concerned, because there is a mention in a budget presented on 1st of February 2020 by Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman that we are in the process of launching some sort of a social cause or a social stock exchange. And there is every likelihood that these cooperative banks or these cooperative credit societies, if they are fulfilling certain criteria and if they are willing to do so, the word willing is because cooperative banks even today after the passing the latest act is in the co-authority of Reserve Bank of India as well as the state government. And that's why I said if they are willing to and if they are allowed to, there are some of these, especially those multi-state cooperative bank shares may get listed as far as those social stock exchanges are concerned. So probably that's why I said finding out the investment returns and when you are finalizing a tax returns for the next year or the current financial year, probably would be a much more scenario. And then we would be in a better position to assess what is the post-COVID investment scenario to the reality. I'm asking you to wait at least for 8 to 10 months. But when he was asked, that is Warren Buffett was asked in his annual general meeting held on 5th of May 2020, many of you may be aware that whenever at Berkshire Hathaway, his company, whose chairman is 90-year-old Warren Buffett, and accompanied by his another 92 years colleague, Charlie Munger, they keep on answering the questions raised by investors for at least 6 to 6.5 hours. and more than 45,000 to 48,000 people attend the annual general meeting in a normal circumstance. This time, because of the COVID, it was online, just like we are having a session just now. But even then, more than 22,000 people attended online. Just imagine what kind of a technology they would have got into. Probably Microsoft, Bill Gates being on the board of a Berkshire Hathaway might have helped them, but I'm not on that. But just imagine another scenario which is getting unfolded. It is not merely that Reliance Jio in my country is in demand, but technological services and otherwise even the network supportings are in demand to a great extent. Whether I'm conducting a program for a 10 people online or whether I'm conducting a AGM for 10,000 plus people, now it is more a tech driven rather than an agenda driven meeting. And this is going to be the sine qua non or the most important characteristic or a feature as far as the post-COVID economic scenario are concerned. I would like to revisit this particular point as I go ahead, but let me complete as far as this Warren Buffett is concerned. And what he has said makes much more sense, and that is where my post-COVID investment scenario comes into. When one of our shareholder asked him on 5th of May 2020, it was just a rising curve as far as the corona cases are concerned, not only in our country, but across the globe. And one person stood up and asked him, rather raised a hand just like Nikhilesh raised just now. And he said that my voice is not audible, probably it is now. That particular person asked a question to Warren Buffett that what exactly would be the impact of COVID as far as the global economy in general and US economy in particular is concerned. And at that point of time on 5th of May, at 11 a.m. of their country, not our country, this particular gentleman answered that you are asking this question too early. And in his assessment, that if one has to assess the correct and clear impact of COVID on a global field, then he says we have to wait for 3 years. He goes ahead and says that if you are pinpointing a particular country and what impact that country's national economy had because of a COVID, then he is suggesting that we will have to wait for 4 years. And if you are zeroing on a particular sector of a particular country for a particular impact of a COVID, then he has said at that point of time, then we have to wait for 5 years. But we are trying to cover that particular point in 5 months, and that too in a 1.5 hour. If that is going to be the case, let us see what sort of a major announcement our country had as far as the post-COVID scenario is concerned. Few of you might have attended or might have seen my YouTube channel before or might have attended, because two of the chartered accountants from Pune, I'm not able to recollect their names, have attended my training programs of Sundays. And if you recollect, in the first week or the second week of June, which I conducted a training program, I have said that as far as this particular field is concerned, it is going to be very volatile. And over here, although I have said that I will be concentrating more on a socio-economic impact as far as the post-COVID scenario is concerned, but unfortunately, the socio-economic scenario gets immersed as far as the political announcement and policy announcements are concerned. So I would like to draw your attention. Why I said that basically, I'm not ready to believe. I may be too nationalist for that matter, or because of my impact of my surname, I will be too patriotic. But I personally believe, am I using the word personally very carefully? I personally believe that when that one thing happened and China announced that there is some sort of a leakage as far as their labs are concerned, from which corona got spread, I'm not ready to believe that it was really a mishap or there was an unintended. Because the way in which China has strengthened its policy and especially its economic policies, it needs to be understood very clearly that it is not a knee-jerk reaction. All the other countries, as far as the globe is concerned, they are contemplating and they are stipulating and stringulating as far as their policies are concerned. But China is very consistent, and that is getting reflected into a scenario. All of us have seen the figures as far as the April-June 2020 quarters are concerned, where our country had the unique and dubious distinction, which none of us would like to have, but it has been pasted on our foreheads, that as far as this April to June 2020 scenario is concerned, our country recorded negative 24% of a growth rate as far as GDP is concerned. And China, in fact, that is not the only case. Barring the exception of China, all other countries have seen that GDP growth rate is going down. Probably we did the worst by reporting or recording -24. But the exception was China. And that exception was plus 3.2% in the same quarter where we were having a scenario. Certainly, as far as even China's own standards are concerned, this plus 3.2 is a much more low. All of you have read it in the newspaper. That was the lowest as far as last 32 quarters are concerned. 32 quarters means 8 to 8.5 years. But even there it was plus 3.2%. And as I say always in a lighter vein, that anything coming from China is a use and throw kind of a scenario. You can't use it for a wash and wear. So we are not sure what exactly is the figure, but certainly trend shows that it has shown some sort of a negative trend. Just imagine when the countries like Germany, when the countries like Japan, when the countries like Australia, when the countries like US, they are also recording a negative growth rate, and that too of a double digit. And China records whatever may be a single digit, but a positive, and that being a sole exception. To be honest, as a finance student, as an economic student, as an investment student, my antenna goes up. And that prompts me to say whether it was merely a medical or a lab mishap, because certainly they would have corrected themselves, or otherwise they would be very fast as far as augmenting their policy resources as far as the economy is concerned. So if we have to assess and analyze the post-COVID investment scenario, then certainly we will have to look for those sectors or for those countries which were having such a robust system in place. And if any country is recording minus 24% as far as April to June quarter is concerned, the same country is reportedly supposed to have minus 12% of a GDP growth rate in the subsequent quarter. That has halved from minus 24 to minus 12. But it clearly shows that even now we are grappling as far as the economic scenario is concerned. And with this angle, I said, not from any political connotation, I am not a member of parliament. I'm not a member of legislative assembly. I'm not active member of any political party, but certainly as a student of finance, economics and investment prompted me to say that probably this is where it is turning out to be a soft belly. But whether that picture is that negative, certainly it is not. When in the April to June 2020 quarter is concerned, when my country or our country rather, when our country, extremely sorry, today morning I was addressing one international forum, and that's why I said my country because of that hangover. But our country, when recorded minus 24%, in that quarter itself, in that period of 3 months itself, there are companies from our very own country who have recorded a good thing. Looking at it from the investment angle, all of you, if you are the shareholders of Biocon, or if you are, sorry, not Biocon, if you are a shareholder of a Bayer Crop Science, extremely sorry, Bayer Crop Science, it is not Biocon. If you are a shareholder of a Bayer Crop Science, or if you are a shareholder of a Tata Consultancy Services, in that span of 12 to 15 days, you have received a 2 dividend entries if it is getting directly credited to your account, or you have received a dividend warrant. Just 2 dividend warrants in flat 15 days or a single fortnight. One was pertaining to the final dividend of a last financial year, which ended on March 2020. And another was for the interim dividend for the year 2020-21, that is for April to June. Just imagine the national economy growth rate is minus 24. And in the same period, not only these two companies are having a sufficient profit by which they will be able to declare a dividend, but they are having a sufficient liquidity as well. Just imagine in a post-COVID investment scenario, liquidity is the first casualty. Probably for the first time in the history of 25 years, EPFO has said that we are maintaining the interest rate at 8+%, but I will be paying you your PF interest in 2 installments. At least in my entire servicing career of 40 years, I have never seen this kind of a scenario. That's why it is not that they are not earning, but they are not liquid enough to do so. Just see the GST collection and the dispute which state governments have revolted as far as central government are concerned. Not only my GST collection has gone down, but the central government has really gone down as far as the liquidity is concerned. See the entire Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. The focus is on the right side, but it is not getting implemented to that extent because government is willy-nilly forced to rely on bank finances because government doesn't have a sufficient liquidity. And that's why I said when the same scenario or the same financial period, when my national economy is going down by 24%, these two companies stand out. And they say that not only I am earning a profit, but I am having a sufficient liquidity. Is it a wonder? Is it a wonder that these two companies, the share prices are also fluctuating? I'm not saying they are not fluctuating. There is every likelihood that my close friend and a fantastic master of investment analysis, Nicholas Soman, would have covered these kinds of aspects. But I'm certainly sure this point he would not have covered, because we know each other very well. Although we have not exchanged the notes, certainly I can predict or I can anticipate what he has done or what he would not have done. But I'm not on that. I'm not on Nikhilesh. I'm on these two companies. Can we find out a pattern? And if we are able to find out a pattern as far as performance of TCS is concerned, or as far as the performance of Bayer Crop Science is concerned, then we would be in a better position to decipher a post-COVID investment. And probably then we can reduce the period of those 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, whatever Warren Buffett has done. One would realize that it is nothing else. But even otherwise, first and foremost thing which I said earlier, it was not in a lighter vein. Although I'm not sharing any PowerPoint presentation with you, because I have observed since month of May, because although I retired on 31st of May, from 20th of March to 31st of May, I was also working from home. So I was in a mode of work from home. And my last assignment was where more than 200 people were reporting to me. So if you are coordinating with 200 people from home, then the first casualty was a network. And if there are husband and wife, both of them are having a work from home, and one or two kids are having a school from home, then certainly network is the first casualty. And that's why when Korgaonkar asked me whether we would like to conduct a session in the evening, I said my preference would be in the morning, because generally 3 to 7 is a peak hour as far as my networks are concerned. So if any company whose operations are network independent, then probably they are in a better performing situation. And this network is not necessarily only the technological network. This network is certainly some sort of a financial network. Certainly this network is basically of their performance network. This network is basically for their administrative consolidation network. All of you must have noticed, because TCS is having the offices in Bombay as well as in Pune. I am expecting, or I am assuming rather, expecting is the wrong word. I am assuming that majority of the 71 participants who are clicked on it, that's what my screen shows as of now to me, that many of you would be in Pune. You would have realized that TCS is we're having the offices spread across Pune, spread across Mumbai. But as far as in the month of March, this particular corona news broke out in our country, and our Prime Minister announced a complete lockdown from 24th of March, and now it is getting unlocked in a phased manner. TCS was very prompt to say that we are consolidating our office administration or office spaces are concerned. As far as Bombay is concerned, earlier they used to operate from 32 different places. Out of that, 13 they have surrendered, which were on a rental basis. Then they have surrendered as far as their Andheri office was concerned, and all the major offices have been shifted and consolidated in single place called Kanjurmarg, because it is more convenient from western as well as the eastern side of express highway if anyone is exposed to the Bombay criteria. Same thing is happening in Pune as well. That has clearly shown that even if they are ready to lose a certain customer or delay as far as their commercial realizations are concerned, they have already started cutting it down their administrative expenses. If these networks are sufficient, the post-COVID scenario clearly indicates that investment will pay you if that investment issuer or that investment manager is able to manage its own expenditures. And this becomes more imperative, especially when certain administrative results are taking into. So if this consolidation of network as far as the companies are concerned, well, certainly as they are going to be much more important. Again, there are certain indications which have very clearly shown. And a classic example thereof is there is a trend which is picking up. It is very in a nascent stage, but probably that's why it's an investment opportunity. If any one of you have attended my training sessions in the month of June, at that point of time, especially last May session and first week of June session, more than 50 people attended my session. And at that point of time, by taking the name of a script, I have said, watch this particular company. I have a doubt, I have a suspicion that this particular company is going for a split of face value kind of a scenario. Under such circumstances, and it turned out, and that I'm talking about Eicher Motor. And you would have realized that Eicher Motor has gone ahead, and we have seen our demat accounts getting credited by the split of a face value share. My 30, 35 years of experience of an investment field, whether it is exchange, whether it is SEBI, stock exchange that is, whether it is SEBI, whether it is a broking for, or whether it is a depository, and as a student of economics, finance, and investment has told me one thing, that if any company is giving you a split of face value, that clearly shows that that particular company is not only sure of their present performance, but they are equally sure about their performance in future. Because when you are having a split of face value kind of a scenario, then certainly the trading volumes go up. And as far as the Eicher Motors were concerned, all the indices have gone down in that particular week after a split shares were credited into your account. In fact, it has the market prices of those particular shares have gone up. So such companies which are going for a split of face value kind of a scenario, I will certainly recommend that those are worth investing as far as the post-COVID scenario are concerned. I will refrain myself from using the specific names of the schemes and scripts because that is not expected as far as this particular session is concerned. And after 32 years of experience of investment, working experience of investment field, I'm very much sure that such things of commercial advices should be given, not free, but certainly when I receive my commercial free. And the honorarium which you are going to pay for me doesn't cover that. But jokes apart, just imagine if these kinds of scenarios are emerging. And why I'm saying so? Because I'm observing this thing right from 80s or right from 90s. Another book which Madam made a mention while introducing me, another book related to my investment scenario is Market Makers. That is also in Marathi, again published by Rajhans Prakashan. It is running into its third edition, and it is a state government prize award winner as far as last 2 years are concerned. Under such circumstances, I have in that particular book, I have covered more than 39 such factors which will help you as far as the current investment scenario and application thereof are concerned. Because in today's era, certainly, as I said right at the beginning, that the current level of 38, 39,000 of BSE Sensex level is just not supported as far as my national economy is concerned. Is just not supported as far as my global economy is concerned. But even then, there are certain green offshoots as far as the current investment scenario is concerned. I will like to make a specific mention thereof. If in between I keep on referring to my training sessions, please forgive me. What I'm trying to convey is that there is an analogy and there is a logic as far as these things are concerned. And you all being a CA practitioners, I'm very much aware, although I'm not a CA, that basically you would like to know this particular logic. Because if we are sure of our logic, then probably that can be extrapolated to the scenarios which may get unfolded over here. The basic important feature, or the most important feature as far as the post-COVID investment scenario is concerned is that it is more a result of unintended effect of a policy rather than an intended effect of a policy. I will like to give you two examples of it. See, basically all of us are very much aware that on 20th of March, our respected Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji addressed the nation, and he made a mention of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is a self-reliant Bharat. Although if that particular speech, which is lasting for 17 to 18 minutes per se, if it is notifiable or if it is noticeable for the points which he has raised, I personally believe that it is more important for two factors which he not uttered but which he intended to. Certainly one thing is that he is completely drawing on a Swadeshi. And probably because my surname being Tilak, I was expecting that when he's talking on Swadeshi, and that too in a death centenary year of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he should have taken his name at least once, but he didn't. He didn't. But that is not a factor which I am trying to point out. But he did make a mention as far as the world China is concerned. Just notice that particular speech is available on YouTube. If you are not ready to believe me, you can go back and check. For those 17, 18-minute speech, not even once he uttered the word China. And not even once he uttered the word Swadeshi. But clearly, that was an indication. And if you see my videos after that, because I have given the interviews to CNBC, I have given the interviews to the NDTV, I have given the interviews to many Marathi channels, And I have run more than 10 or 12 programs as far as the post-COVID economic scenario and post-COVID investment scenario is concerned. And all those videos are available on my YouTube, Chandrasekhar Tirak. But at that point of time, I said that if someone is really interested to wait for some time, and there is every likelihood that he may have to receive some sort of a negative return as far as his investment is concerned. But if he is ready to wait, that defense sector stocks would pay him the most. And you would have noticed from March to September, there are shares like BDL, Bharat Dynamics Limited. There are shares like BA. There are shares like Bharat Forge. There are shares like HL. There are shares certainly like Tata Motors or Mahindra. They have seen some sort of a spurt. It is basically because of this demand particularly coming into. Why I was able to make a mention of it? Because he probably have not mentioned a word. He has probably not mentioned a word as far as the China is concerned. But when he was addressing on 12th of May, if history is any reflection as far as the present and future is concerned, or if history casts its shadow as far as the present and future is concerned, it was that particular speech. Why I was so prompt in making it? Because on 12th of May, in the 17, 18 minutes duration speech, he didn't make a mention. But from 13th of May to 17th of May for 5 consecutive days, Honorable Minister of Finance Nirmala Sitharaman and Honorable Minister of State for Finance Anurag Singh Thakur conducted the press conferences lasting not less than 90 minutes every day, and they deciphered a 20.63 lakh crore package. One of the announcements thereinto that for FDI is limits into defense sector is getting enhanced from 49% to 74%. During that speech, they made a mention that they are not in the mood to privatize, but certainly they would be in the process of corporatizing the defense sector boards and their procurement announcements. And then 2 months down the line, Rajnath Singh, Honorable Minister of Defense for our country, made an announcement that at least 118 products related to the defense sector would be produced in our country in a span of next 2 to 3 years. At that point of time, Nikhilesh would agree with me. I was discussing with Nikhilesh at that point of time. I have told Nikhilesh that mark my words, in the month of September, there will be announcement that Mazgaon Dock Limited will be coming out with IPO and it would get launched in October. And you had realized from the developments of last 2 to 3 days that what I have stated in the month of June or month of May has really come true. Where this particular thing comes from? This is a post-COVID investment period. It is not merely that GST collections are going down. Government is virtually at its wit's end as far as running it is concerned. And probably that's why those Article 370, Rama Janmabhoomi and other things are getting evolved into. I'm not blaming anybody. But a student or finance, economics and investment of mine tells me that when any political announcements get a precedence, that clearly shows that something is going wrong or something is not that good, all well, as kind of a scenario in Three Idiots as far as the economic scenario is concerned. And that prompted me to start deciphering this thing. And such a decipherance is a basic important feature as far as the post-COVID investment scenarios are concerned. Just imagine why this Mazgaon dock just now. Just see the timings of it. And that's why I said willy-nilly we will have to take a signature of it. They basically, not only this announcement of 49% to 74%, not only the announcement at 118 things we are getting continued into. Why I was able to zero in on this particular time? Because we have seen it in last week that Japan and India conducted a joint naval exercise, but those dates were announced. Those dates were announced in the month of June. And that prompted me making 2 plus 2 equal to 4, that in that case, Mazgaon dock is related to that particular area. Because Mazgaon dock on its own have established and manufactured more than 50 completely indigenous submarines. Under such circumstances, this is the right time to do. They sensed that IPO market has picked up. Otherwise, Happiest Mind would not have scored so much. Otherwise, the angel broking would not have scored so much. Otherwise, UTI IPO might not have received this particular response. Because generally, when IPO market is picking up, secondary market goes down. That's what the history tells. But it is a peculiar time. And that's why the post-COVID investment scenario, if something is very underlying factor, it is too much of a liquidity is chasing too much of a good opportunities. And picking 2 plus 2 together, and that's why not only Mazgaon dock, there is every likelihood that further disinvestment may take place as far as the Container Corporation of India is concerned. Further disinvestment may take place as far as the IRCTC is concerned. Further disinvestment may take place as far as BHEL and other things are concerned. BHEL is concerned, SAIL is concerned, NHPC is concerned, NTPC is concerned, ONGC is concerned, BPCL is concerned, BPCL, HPCL, ONGC may get merged with something or the else. But to be honest, this is what a post-COVID investment is. So if I am a student of finance, if I am a student of economics, if I am a student of investment, probably I can't miss out on such signals. And that's why when they said that I'm announcing a core sector policy, post-COVID investment, I am just taking a clues from the announcement made by the government, which are in a public domain, and I'm trying to interpret it and correlate it. And that's what a post-COVID scenario is. And that's why people, and marking this thing, certainly government is telling us what sort of a scenario we are into. I have painted now both the pictures about a gold, about a Warren Buffett, and about a policy announcement. When I said in the beginning, I made a mention that I will come back to this topic point once again, and now I'm going back to that point. See, the government, that point of time, those youngsters in the vicinity of 28 to 35, because I generally know their mentality very well, because I have two sons at home. One senior one is aged at 33 and junior one is aged 25. And their surnames, they being my son, their surname is also Tudor. So they have naturally. And that's why they have the birthright to keep on pointing out when wherever their father goes wrong. And if you are at home, to which neither I am used to nor they are used to, they do not leave any stone unturned as far as criticizing me is concerned. And as I said earlier, that I've been at last reporting stage, more than 200 people, to be precise, 248 people were reporting to me, and their average age was 28 or 29. So for the last 35 years, for 24 hours, I'm in their company. So I know how they think. When all of them, I started asking whether I should go for a ETF or I should go for a sovereign gold bond, then I realized where the things are coming into. Just imagine what government told you as far as the sovereign gold bonds were concerned. At that point of time, the gold was priced at our market in the vicinity of 52,000 per tola or 52,000 for 10 grams. And it was expected that it would touch 54,000 or 55,000. But when government was giving you a gold bond, they were saying, I will be taking 4,850 per gram. That means 48,500 per tola or a 10 gram. So straightway government was telling you that 52,000 is not sustainable, or government was taking away 4,500 from you, or 3,000, sorry, not 4,000, 3,500 from you. Is it not a capital loss per that way, right at the inception itself? Then on the one hand, they were taking it away, but they were lubricating it by saying that I am assuring you that I will give you 4,850. That means government was clearly giving you an indication that although gold is having a history, that its prices gets doubled in 6 years, then this 52,000 would have become 1,04,000 or at least 1 lakh. Then why government was saying so? That means government is saying that 6 years down the line, 7 years down the line, 8 years down the line, the prices would be in the vicinity of 96,000 and not 1 lakh or 1,04,000. If that is the case, is it not a capital loss in the right at the inception? And based on that, now they are assuring you that they would give you this amount if you are holding that particular bond for 8 consecutive years. See, it is not only the IPO I have to hold. If I am taking it in the secondary market as well, unless and until they continue to be in my name for 8 consecutive years, government is not assuring me. If I'm selling it in secondary market, then certainly there is no guarantee. Whatever market prices is there, they would be coming back to me. And in addition to say you that the interest is tax-free, but they are indicating that I will be paying you 2.5% interest rate as far as the gold bonds are concerned. Is it not a clear indication that's the interest rate which government is hinting at? Is it not a post-COVID investment scenario for me if I'm planning my own portfolio or if I'm planning the portfolio for the others? Why I'm making this particular point is, I have seen this in our country. Because after my retirement, I have started my own investment advisory services in the name of City Suggest. Those are the paid services where I do give a one-time advice, just like your second medical opinion, as far as your restructuring of your portfolio advices are concerned. And fortunately, my advices have helped. More than 110 people I have covered in last 90 days since I started. And one portfolio which was as big as 250 crores, and to the other extreme of next portfolio which is as low as 10,000. I have seen the composition, their age varies, their scheme varies, and their nature varies. And after analyzing so many portfolios and after analyzing so many portfolio investments, I'm sharing my inputs or my thoughts with you as far as this particular session is concerned. Let us be very honest. If that is going to be the interest level, what would be the impact as far as my corporate debt market is concerned? What would be my impact as far as my GSEC market is concerned? And what would be the impact as far as the banking and financial services are concerned? It is not that I will not be utilizing the banking services. If you see my videos, which I have uploaded in the month of June itself, at that point of time, because I do conduct such sessions for various institutes, whether it is MIT in Pune, whether it is Symbiosis in Pune. Yesterday only I conducted the 3 sessions consecutively for Indira Institute and many other. Then I conducted one session for the faculty members of IIT Bombay as well. At that point of time, I realized that this kind of a conception needs to be cleared or needs to be analyzed further. Based on these experiences and interactions, I am going to further put forth my further points as far as the post-COVID investment scenario is concerned. I just now made a mention of those 5 conferences, but there are certain other clues which can be, there are other views which can be certainly said kind of a scenario. Ruta Chitale madam has snatched the point from my side. She has raised a question in a chat box that what is my opinion as far as the LIC annuity policies for senior citizens are concerned. To be honest, just see the rate at which they are saying. Right at the outset, let me put it very clearly that out and out, I am a fan of LIC. Let me be very clear. Neither me nor of any of my family members, nor my family members are going to be LIC agent. They are not today, nor they will not be in the future. But I will personally feel that it would be much better if you are in a better position to do that, to wait for investing in those LIC senior citizen annuity policies. Because LIC at this juncture is giving you a good return as compared to all other annuity policies of their competitors are concerned. And LIC is able to do it more because of the strength of their own investment portfolio. But I personally believe that these particular rates would be revised upwards. Yes, I am using the word very carefully. General trend so far is that the rates are getting revised downwards. But I personally feel that LIC would be revising the rate upward in a week or 2 because LIC IPO is around the corner. Probably they would not like to club or merge, or they will coexist or coincide both public sector major IPOs at the same time. So first, a Mazgaon doc would come into play. Government would assess the impact of it because UTI would be another good issue for them. But that way, in that sense, UTI is not that equally a government company as Mazgaon doc or LIC, because as of date, Mazgaon doc and LIC is 100% government companies. UTI is not to that extent. But they would assess that particular scenario, and probably till that time, our secondary market would be kept at a higher level. I have used the verb kept at a higher level. It is open for your own interpretation. And at that point of time, you will have to do that. But Ruta madam, you would agree that there are 2 systems as far as the annuities are concerned. I have studied them because as you have introduced me that basically, you have introducing me, you have said that I have just retired. So I have to invest some money, although my entire corpus is yet to be received thanks to Corona. But whatever I have received, I have started analyzing it. You would have realized that LIC is having 2 schemes. One is the Jeevan Shanti and another is Jeevan Akshay. Earlier in both the schemes, if you are putting your amount lump sum, you were able to get a return whenever you wanted. But when they revised the scheme, because you would have noticed that 30th of August was their cutoff, then they closed down the scheme and they again relaunched it in the month of September. And when they relaunched it in the month of September, in one scheme, they maintained the rate for a senior citizen at 7.4%. Where from this 7.4% came? As all of us are aware, that when Pradhan Mantri Vay Vandan Yojana was announced, we used to get 8.3%. Then it was very recently revised to 7.4%. That Pradhan Mantri Vay Vandan Yojana is one scheme, although it is a government scheme, but it is majorly run by the LIC. That if I am able to invest the funds up to 15 lakh rupees within 1 month from my date of retirement, voluntary or otherwise, at the age of 58 or 60, I will be able to do it. And then I was able to get a monthly, quarterly, half yearly or a yearly return thereon, point number one. But it was immediate. And then it was basically a co-parallel scheme as far as the Chidambaram scheme or another thing was concerned. But both the rates were reduced to 7.4% and that became a benchmark. When LIC relaunched it at with a 7.4%, they put a caution, they put a mention as far as the things are concerned. And they said that, okay, I will get 1.4%, 7.4%. But in that case, I will have to wait for at least 1 year. And in other scheme, which they were giving me an immediate return, they say it would be in the vicinity of 4%. During the same phase, HDFC have also launched a scheme, and that's why I was referring to that level. But because of that, just let us wait for some time. I'm not asking you to wait for more than 10 days or 2 weeks, but some major announcement may come. That's what my hunch tells me. If I'm proved wrong, I will come back on the same forum. Probably you can call me for another session at that point of time, and then I will give you a confession why I went wrong. But that because I being a LLM by qualification, I can put both the cases, both the sides of a case in place. But in a lighter vein, I said this. But basically, I feel as far as these annuities are concerned, if you are able to do this kind of a scenario, in a better option over here would be, instead of putting all your stake at one particular thing, you can co-augment your security. That to some extent I would go for a Pradhan Mantri Vai Bandhan where it is 7.4. To some extent I will go for a senior citizen which Chidambaram Sahib has announced long time back. To some extent I will go for these LIC policies of Jivan Shanti, Jivan Akshay combination, and to some extent that old form, which is unique to our company, country only. No other country is having this kind of a corporate fixed deposits. But if you are able to place those, say with a renowned companies like Shriram City Union, Shriram Transport Finance, Bajaj to some extent, or even for that matter, Mahindra, and stagger your interest potential. That in one scheme I will get monthly, in another scheme I will get quarterly, in another scheme I will get it half yearly, in another scheme I will get it yearly, then probably that augments and give you a better source. I can tell you that while devising a portfolio for one of my clients very recently, what I suggested it to him is that instead of putting the entire money in one go, split it into 4 things. A single company, just taking an example for that matter, I am putting the funds into, say, LIC Jivan Shanti, and I want to put it in, say, 20 lakhs of rupees. The better option, whether especially for LICs, would be that I would split it into 4 in such a manner that in one scheme, set of funds, I would get a return monthly. In another set of return, I would get it quarterly, then 6 monthly and yearly. And whatever I am getting it monthly, I will keep on reinvesting it into my equities or a mutual fund as a lump sum amount, and then I will go for a SWP thereinto. Under such circumstances, neither my liquidity gets affected nor my rate of returns get affected. And this is what a post-COVID scenario is. Basically, I didn't reply in such a detail for Ruta Madam's question because she have used a laudatory word, but probably this is what a trend that may hold good as far as the post-COVID investment scenario is concerned. Because as I was continuing with those unintended effects, you would realize that this was not an effect which government intended, but government, as far as the defense sector stocks are concerned. This was not the effect as far as the banking and financial services were concerned. But one thing is very clear, that there are certain administrative reasons and results which has affected both ways, positively as well as negatively, as far as the investment scenario is concerned. I would like to cite a very good example as far as these things are concerned. The split of face value by way of Eicher Motor, I told you. You would have noticed as far as the post-COVID investment scenario is concerned, that if your goodwill and your product and your deliverables are assured ones, then people are ready to take a risk. Why I deliberated upon Warren Buffett at such an extent, as far as my initial deliberations were concerned, because gold is not the only factor which Warren Buffett was associated to, but gold prices went to a DC height because majority of the country's centralized bank, just like Reserve Bank in our country, it started parking their funds. I'm using the word parking their funds. Started parking their funds in a gold rather than investing in other countries. unless and until they were sure of a product, they were not ready to invest. And that's why the gold price has gone up. And you would have realized as the phases of unlocking over the globe started, slowly, I'm using the word slowly because the offloading is also in installment. Slowly, the gold prices have gone down as far as have started coming down as far as the gold prices are concerned. And that's why I clarified that Warren Buffett has not invested in gold. Warren Buffett has acquired a controlling stake in a company which owns the gold mines kind of a scenario. Vineet Punjabi has asked me a question for a market outlook for next 2 years and COVID recovery. Sir, I can reply your question because I was the one coming to it. If you don't mind, will you please hold your question for a minute? I would complete this particular point and then as the next point I will take it. Please forgive me for some time. Please forgive me. Let me complete this particular point because it is parallel and it is, I say, paradoxical as far as to the other things are concerned, or tangential. Tangential is the more correct word other than the paradoxical. This particular point is tangential as far as the other deliberation points are concerned because other points are linear in nature and this is tangential in nature. Basically, what is happening over here is earlier people used to say that when gold prices used to go up, the equity prices would go down. But we have seen in recent past that both the prices are stabilizing at the same level because the major third player, as far as the investment field, that is real estate, it has gone down drastically. Whether it is because of DSK or whether it is something to do with the Vikram Gokhale, Jayan Margi news, as far as you Pune people would be in a better position than me to tell. But basically, neither there is a commercial demand nor there is an individual demand as far as the real estates are concerned. I have witnessed in Kamla Mills compound where our NSDL office is. Many of you might have visited that. In Kamla Mills compound, there are 850 or plus offices as far as the Kamla Mills is concerned. Just yesterday evening, I was discussing with my admin chief. He has told me that, sir, if you are, he came to know that I have started my advisory services. So he said, sir, if you want to take a office on rental basis, please take it in Kamla Mills compound. I said, I can't afford it. People have not paid me so much when I was serving with you that I can afford the rent of Kamla Mills. It was going all in a lighter vein. But then he said, sir, let me tell you, there are people who have started bargaining as far as the rents are concerned, and decisions are taken in favor of a person who is taking it on rent rather than a person who is giving it on rent, because many companies have started surrendering their lease rented premises. I gave an example of TCS in the month of May. It is now happening across the border. Because Kamla Mills compound is more dominated by entertainment companies. It is more dominated as far as the the financial services are concerned, and that's why I use that word. Banking is not required. Madam, certainly, Mehtre Madam has asked me a question whether financial literacy is very important. Probably that is going to be the best industry, and that's why probably Nikhilesh has shifted to a financial literacy field rather than practicing as a chartered accountant. Jokes apart, but yes, financial literacy would always be critical, always, and not only for next 10 years, but probably more than that. Because now we are in a matured stage of economic reform. And that's why I'm using the word post-COVID investment and trying to correlate it. Just see why financial literacy is important. This is this unintended point. It is tangential, but it is intended. Just take a case over here. That not only IPO market is, it is a new phase of a parking of fund. And where from it is coming? Because earlier, these funds used to get parked in a liquid mutual fund schemes kind of a scenario. But when all of a sudden Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund announced that 6 debt schemes they are closing down, it was not that Franklin Templeton Fund has incurred any fraud or any misbehavior, nothing of that sort. But in good faith, Reserve Bank of India in the month of March announced that considering the COVID scenario, they are ready to give you a loan moratorium for 3 months. Then they extended it for another 3 months. That is from April to August or September, we were under a financial moratorium. But the persons or the mutual funds or the industrial houses which were parking their funds as far as the liquid schemes of the mutual funds were concerned, they got affected. Because whatever we invest in a liquid fund, majority of those funds get invested or parked as far as the commercial papers are concerned, short duration G-Secs are concerned, maturity nearing corporate bonds are concerned. And when this moratorium came, These people were neither redeeming the money nor they were paying the interest, and liquid funds came under stress. And because of that, the Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund disclosed that they are closing down the 6 schemes. The persons who have invested to the tune of 28,000 crores in those 6 debt schemes got stuck into it. Because of that, SEBI said that all the debt schemes of all the mutual fund houses would be under scanner. That particular thing has gone. At that point of time, I said that if someone comes out with IPO, he will receive a huge response. Because now instead of parking that fund in a liquid scheme, probably the people who are flush with liquidity have started applying as a QIB, as a qualified institutional buyer, high net worth individual kind of a scenario in IPO. And that's why they are not in a hurry to liquidate those holdings. And that's why you would have noticed that although last 10 years IPO primary market history shows that even if an IPO receives a good response, if as far as its listing is concerned, or either on the day of listing or in the next day or in the same week, the prices go down. But that has not happened in Happiest Mind. You would have realized that as soon as UTI IPO and Angel Broking IPO subscription started, to some extent offloading started in Happiest Mind. Now the same thing would happen with Angel and UTI when Mazgaon Dock would take. The same thing would happen when LIC when LIC comes. That may happen to the IRCTC as well. And I always say that if your next target is Indian Postal Payment Bank, then there will be a huge parking of funds. This is what an unintended effect of SEBI schemes are. Because Reserve Bank decided in a good faith, but it has certainly affected it to a great extent. Take a classic example. And probably that's why yesterday SEBI has announced that they henceforth the forensic audit also needs to be disclosed. Probably some of you would be in a better position to speak on that particular topic, because and now only they have said that not only after completion or a submission of a report of forensic audit, but even the initiation of a forensic audit has to be informed to the stock exchanges, and exchanges and SEBI would be putting it on their notice boards. Probably this is a result of that NSE co-location case. And if that NSE public issue comes, then there will be another scenario altogether. So this is an unintended effect, but it is certainly the major feature as far as the post-COVID investment scenarios are concerned. Coming next to the point, very recently you would have noticed that as far as the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan was concerned, the government was pushing the banks to push the money towards a small sector companies or a medium scale sector companies or a cottage industries kind of a scenario. This is a consistent stand of a Modi government. This is not only as far as this particular post-COVID scenario is concerned. If any one of you have heard me last year when Ruta madam was kind enough to invite me to deliver a lecture on budget of that particular year, at that point of time I have told you that mark this particular industry. And if any one of you is fond of reading the Marathi books, I have written one book, Modi Arthakaran Niti Rananiti in Marathi. It is in its second edition, again published by Moray Prakashan, Pune-based publisher. Certainly, I have tracked over there from 2014 to 2019, what are the Modi government economic policies and what are its implications. At that point of time, I have said, Modi government has changed the paradigm altogether. All of us have studied commerce. In Organization of Commerce, while studying a topic of evolution of commerce, we have said that sole proprietorship concern, partnership firms, private limited and public limited is the organogram as far as the commerce is concerned. Slowly, the Modi government is introducing self-help groups and NGO. Hitesh Lalwani has asked, sir, do you write books in English also? Yes, 3 of my books are getting translated in English and would be hitting the market somewhere in the first week of December. It should have happened earlier because I have submitted already the manuscript for 2 books. But unfortunately, because of this COVID, the printing presses were not working to their full capacity. And now they are clearing the backlog. And in our country, unfortunately, economic finance related books doesn't get that priority which they deserve. Okay, jokes apart, but by way of December, you will be receiving it. So probably by the time you call me for another session, I would be able to make you those books available. But if our Marathi books are there, those are available across the Pune city. And if not, you can contact me on my mobile numbers, which are available with the organizers, or otherwise it is 9820292376. Okay, coming back to the point, because commercial man in me just caught on that particular opportunity. That's what a trend of this post-COVID scenario as well. You would have noticed that these people have started introducing it. And because of that, there is a concept of a social stock exchange which is emerging into. In Atmanirbhar, again, If it is up to 200 crores, no global tenders, and there would be a reservation for energy and social group, that what they have said. Nitin Gadkari, minister, have already said that people should be concentrating more on a small scale and a medium scale. Probably those issues would be hitting as far as the post-COVID scenario is concerned. But probably it has not picked up to the extent to which government wanted to have. And that's why SEBI, using its administrative jurisdiction, came out with a fantastic a decision in a few weeks back. And they said, to be precise, on 13th of September, they announced that if you are investing into a multi-cap mutual fund scheme, then at least 25% of it has to be in small cap. Another 25%, at least another 25% has to be in mid cap. And then remaining can be in a large cap. It was for the entire assets under management as on 13th of September on 2020. And then certainly any amount which is getting collected after 13th September 2020, that would be automatically invested in this particular pattern. But asset under management as of 13th of September 2020 needs to be realigned as far as these sectors are concerned by 31st of January 2021 is concerned. If you have seen my videos on 14th September, I said that this is going to be a fantastic opportunity if you want to invest in a good large cap, because willy-nilly mutual funds, although on installments, will have to sell those particular securities. And you would have seen in that particular period, not only our market went down by 2,600 points in 6 sessions, although albeit 800 points got covered on last Friday, but you would have seen that those were the companies which were driving that fall. It is not because their performance was bad, but it was because these large cap, multi-cap, focused, blue chip, balanced funds were heavily invested into it. And it has affected worst as far as the Bajaj Finserv and Bajaj Finance is concerned. Because Bajaj Finserv has given more than double the return as market prices as far as last year is concerned. Bajaj Finance have almost given 3/4 of that particular reason. And that's why the company shares like Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, Asian Paints, Jubilant Foodwork, HDFC Bank, the share Asian Paints, then DMart, that is Avenue Supermart, these companies' shares started coming down. It is certainly an unintended effect. So probably just like at that point of time, I said that if anyone is really interested in investing in these funds, certainly this particular thing would happen. And last point from my side, as far as my deliberations are concerned, because I'm nearing the closure of my time, probably if there are any questions, certainly I will take it. But I was told that I have to take it as far as up to 6:30 kind of a scenario. And being a capital market man, time is the essence of contract. So with your kind permission, I would go on deliberating for next 6 to 7 minutes. And after that, I will be open for question and answer session. Majority of the questions I have already answered as far as my deliberations are concerned. One more point which I would like to make over here, as far as the post-COVID scenario is concerned. It is not that bad as far as our country or a national economy is concerned. It is not that I want to end. It is not that I want to end on a positive note. No, nothing of that sort. Now I'm no more with NSDL. I'm no more with SEBI. I'm an independent free man. As Shelley used to say, if you lose something, set it free. If it comes back, it was yours. If it never comes back, it was never yours. So now I'm as free as that Shelley's bird is. And capital market is my first law. But because of not because of that, but because of this particular trend which is gaining momentum as far as our capital market is concerned, I would like to make this point. And it is open for deliberation. I would request all these 69, 70, 71 participants who are attending this course, please deliberate at least with yourself only, or with your batchmates or with your friend circles, whether it is really happening in our country. Because my observation has been there are 2 or 3 things which are happening or taking place to a great extent. And if that really emerges and it gains momentum in the days or weeks or months to come, probably that would be the fantastic investment opportunity as far as the post-COVID investments are concerned. And one thing you would have realized, I made a mention repeatedly of that Bill Gates statement that banking is long dead, but long live banking. Because in the month of May, in the month of June itself, I have said, and it was from my own experience, because the basic composition of our investable surplus by way of income, the basic composition of our investable surplus by way of our consumption. Our basic composition of our investable surplus by way of our investment expectation has undergone a tremendous change. I may put it in a lighter way, but to be honest, the connotation is quite serious. You would have realized that the persons or the generation who was more prone to do active investment as far as our country was concerned is under one kind of a stress or a strain. They are not sure whether their entire salary will get credited on a particular day, which they were used to in a pre-COVID scenario. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that they are not receiving a salary, but in some of the companies, the dates are getting different. In some of the companies, it is getting paid in installments. In some of the companies, their composition is undergoing a change. I had contemplated it way back. I jokingly, when I retired on 31st of May, my company was kind enough to conduct the entire board meeting along with all the HODs to give me a send off. And my managing director, because as I will introduce to you, my last designation was Chief Risk Officer and Executive Vice President, National in charge of National Pension System. So my chairman, Shailesh Haribhakti, your senior fraternity member, and my MD asked me that, Shekhar, if you have to say something to our CFO, again a practicing chartered accountant, again a chartered accountant, naturally. He asked me, Shekhar, what would be your suggestion to your CFO? And as it was more a somber program, I said, sir, one thing is sure, that let me point out a last risk which I have to point it out to CFO, and only one risk being a send off for this period, that if nothing else, at least our nomenclatures in our pay slips have to undergo a change. Because in our pay slip, we generally give basic, DA, HRA, conveyance allowance. I said, now when all of us are forced to work from home, where is the question of conveyance? At the max, you can replace it by a connectivity allowance. But then I realized that if the companies are paying you a connectivity allowance rather than a conveyance allowance, that conveyance allowance you were receiving in hand. Whereas there is every likelihood that if companies are employing the employees at a large number, instead of paying you individually, company may appoint a global vendor, and that global vendor through your local vendors would make the expenses reimbursed. But instead of you receiving the cash, the local vendor would directly receiving it either from a global vendor appointed by your company or by the company directly. To that extent, my take-home pay automatically gets reduced. Point number one. Point number two, this generation, because my country gets 58% of my GDP, our country gets 58% of our GDP from services sector. And 30 plus minus is the average age group of that service sector. All of you must have noticed it while auditing or while even practicing. Under such circumstances, these 30 plus minus company people, they are already demonetized even before a demonetization was initiated in our country by our Honorable Prime Minister. They don't like to carry the cash. But during this COVID period, when there was the severe lockdown, even malls have not seen the footfalls for a long. But and even after 5th of October, they would be under a bar situation per se. Then the local fruit vendor, local vegetable vendor have started visiting your complexes. But many of them do not accept your credit card. Many of them do not accept BhimPay. Many of them do not accept Google Pay. You have to pay in cash. Under such circumstances, my take-home pay is going down, but my cash component requirement is going up. Does it not have the impact on my investable surplus? Point number one. Point number two, it is not. Now people have started feeling whether that would change a composition. It would change a composition. Where I stay in Dombivli, our complex has the 8 buildings. And the first patient of the corona patient in Dombivli was hardly a building away from my complex. So my society management was very prompt and proactive, and they locked down my entire 3 gates of our society. And then we started inviting fruit vendor, milk vendor, vegetable vendor at my society premises. Then I, in a lighter vein, suggested to my chairman, then why not to call a ATM van of my company or bank itself? And you would not believe me, but probably ours would be the first society in the entire state of Maharashtra that we are receiving ATM van every week at a stipulated period since the month of March. And now we have been tying up with that particular bank to say that whether it is a corona or no corona, whether it is a lockdown or a no lockdown, this particular system would continue. Because if you see the queues outside the banks, virtually it is no more. And then you would have realized the State Bank of India chairman made an announcement. Axis Bank made an chairman made an announcement. RBL Bank chairman made an announcement that we will be reducing the cash counters and enhancing a ATM mobile van. Is it not a change in practice as far as banking is concerned? Is it not a change in practice as far as the work from home is concerned? Is it not a change in practice that instead of depending on a mall, I will be depending on my local vendor? Then is it not a culmination of taking it is uh, that bank is a federal bank, man. And in association with Canara Bank, they have associated that Canara Bank has also approached our society premises and they said they are ready to do it. Only thing those banks are stipulating that if I'm not having an account with any other bank other than the federal bank, then I will be able to allow only 10,000 per installment. Otherwise, I can go up to 20,000. But 10,000 per week is more than sufficient. And people are very much even otherwise cash surplus nowadays. Okay, jokes apart. But as you asked me a question, I really reply. Just you would see that if you are able to, because of that, the banks are saying so much of a staff from work from home. All major manufacturing companies, all major IT sector companies have already announced that if me and my reporting boss are comfortable, I can continue with work from home facility up to end of 2021. I'm not using the word 2020, 2021. TCS has officially returned the emails to their employees to that extent. Not only offices have started surrendering as far as their office premises are concerned, but now henceforth many of the companies have decided that they would not be having department-wise locations in the office. They would be utilizing open space area. Anybody from any department can just walk in according to the schedule given by the company, and he can plug in into any workstation and start working there from. Is it not shares that those companies, especially from IT sector, have scored more if they are having some sort of regression testing, volume testing kind of a scenario? So the composition of my demand for hardware, composition of my demand for software, composition of my demand for network, composition of my demand for the software sector companies is changing. And you would have seen that's why the companies like TCS, companies like Persistent System, companies other like Happiest Mind are showing one trend, whereas companies like Infosys, companies like Wipro are showing another trend. Is it not a post-COVID investment scenario? Just take an example. If I told you what is happening to that company, as far as those RBL and SEBI decisions are concerned, when this particular Banking Finance Act was passed on, you would have seen that RBL has shown one kind of a trend. State Bank of India has shown another kind of a trend. HDFC Bank is shown as one kind of a trend. So HDFC, SBI, RBL was in one block or one league, whereas ICICI Bank, Axis Bank were in another league. Kotak Mahindra was in a complete another league. Why Kotak Mahindra was in another league? That is one area where our country is stipulating the more. You would have realized, as just now said while deliberating with you, that as far as the global markets were concerned, people or the global currencies were not in mood, or the global governments were not in a mood to park the funds with any other country. They were parking it in gold. But in that phase, Reliance Jio garnered more than 8,000 crores as my foreign direct investment. If you see my training sessions or if you see my videos on channel of that particular period, I have said that if any other company would be there who would from Reliance Stable, who would receive FDI, it would be Reliance Retail. You realize that Reliance Retail has started FDI in last 1 month or so, but I had predicted it 2.5 months back. So I will not be surprised if Reliance Retail would be coming out with the next IPO. But why I'm making this mention, just to give an investment opportunity. At the same time, just see how the FMCG market is undergoing the change, how a retail market is going to change. I have worked as a chief legal officer of NSDL. I have worked as a chief compliance officer of NSDL. I have worked as a chief vigilance officer of NSDL. And my last designation for 10 years was chief risk officer. So I know this no competition clause very well. You would have noticed that not only Reliance Mukesh Ambani bought a Biani company, but the most important point, and that is the sine qua non of this post-COVID investment scenario, is that He has put a pension of a no competition clause for 15 years. You are the practicing chartered accountants. You are the practicing financial advisors. You would agree with me. General trend in our country of no competition clause was of 3 years. Because during my 22 years stint with NSDL, in a depository, I have seen a competition from CDSL. In my 22 years or a 10-year stint in NPS as a CRA, I have seen a competition from Karvi. Though no competition clause is for 3 years, but this man goes ahead and says neither Biani nor his family members, neither in their personal capacity, nor in their collective capacity, nor in their corporate capacity, would be in this business for 15 years. What does it mean? Is it not a consolidation of an industry? I'm not hinting any other company because you are shrewd enough to realize. But otherwise, I will keep it reserved for my next session because all the cards should not be disclosed in the same session per se. That much commerce and commercials I do know. But just imagine where I'm moving into. You would see in this particular thing when the entire products were coming down from this particular company, but Godrej was showing, and Godrej CP was showing another trend. Tata CP was showing another, Tata consumer product, earlier it was Tata Global Beverages, was showing another trend. Dabur was showing another trend. Hindustan Unilever was showing another trend. Why? Because they were able to change their production strategies to along. Instead of selling a big basket or a big bag of a biscuits, if they reduce it to a 4 biscuit per pack or a 5 biscuit per pack, their market shares grows up. Britannia's results have shown that. The Hajmola packs have shown that. Their software packages have shown that. And if those countries are not able to improve their logistics, then you would have seen what is the fate of Glenmark today. They were in a hurry to say, that we are on verge of launching a product. They announced it post trading hours on Friday. On Monday, when market opened, not only indices went up with a gap, opened with a gap, but even the Glenmark opened up with a gap. And then we realized that Glenmark was not giving a correct picture. And that's why in today's phase, now that particular script, which was a darling of the market for 2 hours on that Monday, is based to a trade-to-trade basis, or it was banned for trading for a long. In a similar sector, a company like Pfizer, who is already MNC in nature, who is already opening up into the market, probably they are scoring good. Although, and that's why you would have realized that when SEBI announced that these mutual funds will have to offload, probably you would have seen that they are offloading it from Bajaj Finserv, but they are moving towards Pfizer. So they are showing it into the thing. Point is that basically, if that is going to be the case, it is very clear that this kind of a scenario would emerge. What it exactly shows? It very clearly shows that as far as the post-COVID investments are concerned, logistics and the companies who are strong with those logistics would be much more in demand compared to many other things. Because unless and until I am able to penetrate, it would be very important. Because I personally feel, I'm afraid that another kind and nature of some sort of a self-reliant or a deglobalization movement, or to some extent another resilience of the trade blocks would emerge as far as the post-COVID investment scenario is concerned. I do not know how many of you have noticed, but as I cited a case of Glenmark, there is another global example per se. All of you are aware of the company called Sanofi. It's basically a French company or a France-based company. And they are really in a much advanced stage compared to even Pfizer as far as launching of a COVID product is concerned. And it is globally true. And when they announced in the month of June, they are on verge of coming out with a commercial product. And whenever they come out with a commercial product, 90% of the first batch of this COVID drug or a commerce drug, they would be selling it to the America. Germany objected to it. Imagine, it is a France company. They are selling the product to America, but Germany objected to it because Germany is the major player of a European Union. And France happens to be a member of a European Union. Germany asked the France government to ask Sanofi why they will be selling it to America and not to European Union. Sanofi said that when we launched this particular concept or a research, America backed, no other European Union country did. But now it has been settled. Yes, Ruta Chitale madam has asked for a rapid fire question. If I am getting some bucket of prize in addition to my honorarium, I'm open to it. Okay, madam, I'm open to it. But just let me complete this particular point. then you would see this is happening not only in pharmaceutical, it is also happening in defense. Because if it is America, if it is China, if it is Australia, they are the major earners from the defense as far as their GDPs are concerned. You would have seen that entire defense sector discussion in our country tilted in our favor as soon as Australian Prime Minister and our own Prime Minister decided and declared in their video conferencing that Australia and America would allow each other to use their defense bases. This entire scenario changed. Rafale landed in our country before time. So probably this would be the scenarios as far as the post-COVID investment are concerned. I hope I was able to meet your expectations, and you would give me another opportunity to be with you just like this, because it helps for a man or retired man not only to waste his time or to invest his time, not waste, to invest his time in such a fruitful discussion, but it also commercially helps. Thank you very much. Feel free to give your free and frank feedback to your committee members as far as this investment scenario is concerned. Thank you very much. Over to you as far as Ruta Madam is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot on behalf of all the participants. There are some 4 questions which are yet, we can have a look at that, and 2 more questions in the chat box, and then we
Sure.
can go for rapid fire.
No problem. No problem. Please ask me question one by one.
Yes. Sir, it was a really excellent question. I'll ask what is in the question answer box. First is
Okay.
from Sanika Verma. She says, sir, what's your view on index fund? Are they more profitable than equity fund?
I would be prejudicial. Let me be very clear. But I personally feel as far as the index funds are concerned, I am not in their favor. Today's market is so volatile. I would like to be more in a specific script rather than an index fund, because this weighted average calculation kind of a scenario undergoes a change dramatically, and virtually there is, I personally believe that there would be a frequent composition changes as far as these indices and index funds are concerned. So at least personally, I may be wrong. I'm saying I'm prejudicial, but I'm personally not in favor of an index fund.
Okay. Sir, the next question is from Vaishnavi Lunia. She says that what are your views on businesses like Just Dial or InfoEdge, especially post-COVID, whether they would, what will happen?
See, basically, the 2 companies which you have mentioned, Just Dial and InfoEdge, even otherwise, there is a huge distinction as far as their marketing strategies and product things are concerned. I personally feel InfoEdge in a better position than Just Dial. If you look at those particular sectors, unless and until we have the settled logistics and settled laws, because I personally feel, especially after this Vodafone and other these cases, there would be a huge administrative rules change. So unless and until that picture is clear, that particular thing, because Just Dial or InfoEdge are the companies which are in the sector which are capital intensive in nature and having a huge gestation period. But the way in which Reliance Jio is spreading, probably these 2-3 masters of that sector would dominate this. But if they are able to realign with them, because there is one good likelihood that Sundar Pichai of Google has already mentioned that although he's putting in the money with Reliance Jio, they would be more in the startup kind of a scratch. And especially if any of these companies are ready to provide that kind of a product, which can be labeled under Atmanirbhar, they would be in a better position. Otherwise, they may run short of the capital, especially if these 2 biggies start to garner the fund. And as I said already, they are very tech-oriented and capital-intensive and capital-guzzling industries, to be honest, at this juncture. Because I have worked with NSDL for 22 long years, so I know what sort of requirements are there. And then virtually we have to fight with all those companies. And technology is changing too fast. Unless and until we are able to come out with those technologies and technicalities backed by the sufficient law, if government only says in their Atmanirbhar that they are pillaring it on land, labor, law, and liquidity, but law the lags, then it would be very difficult. Because what happens is all these things, companies to some extent are getting governed by the state government laws. But what we are seeing that as far as the central and central state government relations are concerned, not only in GST allocation, but even in exams, then if that particular things get replicated over here, although their product would be good, their methodology would be good, but if the government environment or the policy environment is not sufficient enough, then these are the things which can be done in the back office. That's why they may face a turn. Otherwise, they are having a comparatively a better environment as far as the investment is concerned.
Okay. Sir, next question is actually I'm not able to get the origin of this question, but it says that Mahuli Dhirendra Rao, she asks, is there any statutory obligation for reporting net assets value and it's working on public domain?
Basically, the only obligation is that they have put a cutoff for various schemes by which they have to put up a NAV, and those need to be disclosed on their website. That is the only. But their composition and calculation is not in a public domain. Only thing we come out with the end result, how it is calculated is never known to anyone, except the regulator and their statutory auditors, which they have to independently report to the regulator.
Okay. So
But these deadlines differ for mutual funds and NPS and ULIPs and ELSS. They are based on the composition of those funds.
okay. Shilpa Bide asks, how will the airline industry fare in the near future?
Probably, Vide madam, you would agree with me, it is the most dicey industry as far as these things are concerned. As of date, certainly not only in our country, but across the globe, basically that industry is in a virtually bad shape altogether. At least this is not a time to invest afresh, even if Air India comes out with a disinvestment.
Because recently, sir, I read the news that the airfare prices would be coming down and it would be cheaper to travel. So whether it would increase the flow and volume. So,
Madam, let us be very clear. Just for sake of argument, I'm assuming the DGCA allows the airlines to increase the airfares. On one hand, I'm increasing the airfare, but I'm saying that I have to run an airplane at a capacity of 50% or 60%. Where from I'm going to? Point number one.
right.
Point number two, the quarantine rules are not same across the country. If I have to travel from here to Delhi and I have to get quarantined either in Delhi for 14 days or another 7 days in Mumbai, no businessman would be able to do that. And unless we start assuming and operating entire operations in a pre-corona stage, and if we delay it, by that time people will get used to conducting a global video conference meetings rather than traveling over there. So virtually, although they may do it, but even otherwise, whatever losses, because even when your plane is stranded or landed or parked in a civil airport, even then you are incurring the expenditure. And another thing is, my hunch is that probably these particular airfares would be allowed to increase because the aviation fuel would become costlier. Under such circumstances, on one hand, my revenue would go up, but on the other hand, my aviation fuel will do it. And if the aviation fuel charges don't go up, probably their recovery schedules will undergo a change. As of date, I am able to take it on credit. But neither Go Airways, Indigo Airways, SpiceJet, you would have read those news into the papers that airport authorities have told them that unless and until you pay me, I'm not going to give you. And so probably they would be allowed to increase the airfare only after they clear their entire dues.
Sir, Vaishnavi is asking about Future Retail, is like a subsidiary of Reliance Retail. So then why it is falling from 160 to 90?
You would realize that probably if you see at a stakes holding probably right at this particular thing, they would be in a position that their in-house companies or the Reliance Trust companies would be allowing them to fall so they can garner it and then they can come out with their other FPOs kind of a scenario. It's more an internal house strategy rather than a performance.
Sir, considering that they are taking over Big Bazaar, it makes sense that they have further control.
100%. आता अगदी स्पष्ट सांगतो की आता मुळामध्ये जर रिलायन्स ग्रुप मधल्या पुढच्या जनरेशनकडे चार्ज हँडओव्हर करायचा असेल तर काहीतरी कंपनी लागेल की नाही त्याची ही तयारी आहे. कदाचित असंही असू शकतं हे सगळं झालं की आता नाहीतरी अनिल अंबानी इज डिक्लेअरिंग इज बँक्रप्सी एव्हरीवेअर. He is saying that he is running his daily expenditure by taking a loan from his son. The court should ask that Anil Ambani, where from your son got this much of money? And he is fighting the cases by selling a jewelry. Probably this will be one ploy to take over entire Anil Group company, realign it, and then take the future rental prices. Because generally retailing is his forte rather than Mukesh Ambani's forte.
Sir,
after IPL, Nita Ambani ji would be much more free. Then probably the future retails would go up.
Okay, just a moment. No, not. one person wanted to speak and he's been raising his hand. I'm not able to make you live, so I would request you, Raj, to please write whatever your message is so that I can ask them. I think we have now completed all the questions except and I think you have sufficiently explained the question that was remaining about post-COVID scenario, uh, right? About one asked by Vinit Punjabi about market outlook for next 2 years or COVID recovery.
Okay. I will answer this question, madam. To a
Yeah.
great extent, I have already replied.
Yes,
And
I
in a
understand.
lighter way, I said that if you are really interested in post-COVID 2 year scenario, then
Yeah.
you may join or enroll yourself for my this Sunday's training program.
Yes. Sir, last, now let us go in for rapid fire because
Okay.
Vidit is also asking about defense sector. I think you have explained
Yeah.
sufficiently
Yeah.
about Masgav Dock and he has quoted Bharat Electronics.
Bharat Electronics, I am bullish on it.
Okay.
But if you have to, if you are buying at this particular level of BEL, it would be more from my patriotic reasons because BEL is a very peculiar thing. You would have noticed that BEL moves in a particular band per se. It has nothing to do with the indices movement. But unless
Right.
and until the demand picks up, so if you are ready to buy at this particular price and ready to wait at least for a year or so, BL
Right.
would be profitable both from your dividend amount as well as your market appreciation.
Okay. Sir, one Mrunal Maitre, she is asking about how important would small cap and mid cap companies be in our portfolio? What is kind of, what do you think?
I may be a bit prejudicial, but my experience shows that this we should hold our decision to invest in a small cap or a mid cap unless and until you are knowing something firsthand about those companies. Because my experience so far of the investment field says that whenever market goes up, small cap are the last one to rise that band. But whenever market or economy goes down, the small cap are the first one to catch that particular fire. And the most affected segment of our economy, especially in COVID or even before that, was the small cap and mid cap. And to be honest, although their share prices may be at a cheaper level at this particular juncture, but their basic underlying performance itself is under question. So if you are sure that that small cap company is having a good performance, but it is not getting reflected in the equity price or the market price of those equity shares, then you may invest it into the small cap. I am bit averse to small cap and mid cap from this particular safety angle. In fact, I'm averse to that extent that I'm advising my clients if I'm giving a suggestion, it is entirely up to them to implement, that probably this is not even a time to invest in a small cap sector oriented mutual fund scheme or a mid cap sector oriented mutual scheme. Even anything to do with word emerging, and if they are investing more than 30-35% in a small cap or a mid cap, I'm a bit averse to it. I'm advising a SIP freeze as far as those things are concerned, because this is not a time when you should risk that fund. I probably this is the time when you should be in a position to locate those scripts which are sound performance but at a lower trade, say like Larsen Tubro, invest in that, make money, let economy recover. So let us move from -12 to at least negative or zero. Then probably that would be the time to invest in a small cap or a mid cap.
We will take this as the last question, one last one from Mahuli, that after recent passing of farm bills, can we expect radical changes in the market? So I think it's not,
100%,
yeah.
100%, provided all the state governments in our country cooperate as far as implementation of that law is concerned. Because the economics and investment scenario behind that farmer bill is too good. But the political willingness is totally different. And if we are able to club it by that announcement of budget, that farm industry, food processing units should be taken to the farms, be rest assured that is going to be the sector which is going to prosper.
Sir, can I say something different?
Yeah,
I
sure.
feel that after loss of powers of APMC kind of Krushi Udyog Bazar Samitis, don't you think that it is all will be moved towards private markets or maybe private companies? Because
Not
see, some,
necessarily.
many people, sir, just a moment, many people are saying in defense of this farm bills that it is like Amul cooperatives, it would have positive points like Amul and all that, but that is in cooperative sector. So how do we think about it? I mean, I know this is not today's say, but just
No,
if you
no, no,
can.
no, no, agreed. I will answer is very brief. In fact, I was expecting this kind of a question here or there. Let me be very clear. When you are saying new farmers bill have not taken away APMC, new farmer bill is saying that in addition to APMC, if I can sell it across. But unless and until logistic support, see, I can sit in Coimbatore and sell it to a Jammu Kashmir person. That technology would allow me. But
Right.
unless and until that actual delivery logistics happen, and that's why in the entire deliberation I was harping on logistics. So conceptually, it is not wrong. Number one. Number two, let us be very clear that even APMC would be able to survive provided they are ready to implement and improve their own system.
True.
Because the entire composition of my cash crop, see, after all these transactions would majorly happen in a cash crop. But the composition of a concept of my cash crop itself has undergone a change. If I am able to match it with it, then certainly it would be of benefit.
Yes, thank you, sir. We will not be taking any more questions now because it is almost 10 minutes to 7, and if we need to go to rapid fire, then we need to wrap it. This is ITC. Last question. ITC. Any comments, sir?
You are asking it to a very wrong person because ITC is my all-time darling. माझ्या बायकोची सगळ्यात मोठी सवत आहे ती. माझ्या पोर्टफोलिओतली झिरो होल्डिंगची ती कॉस्ट आहे. माझ्याजवळ पैसे असले दुसरी कुठची स्क्रिप्ट सुचली नाही तर मी आयटीसी घेतो.
ओके सर.
फक्त आयटीसी स्क्रिप्ट कशी वापरायची त्याचं टेक्निक मी नंतर सांगेन कधीतरी.
Okay. Sir, let's go to the rapid fire, and
Sure.
if you want to skip, you can skip the questions. I will be asking some 6-7 options. Okay. So let's start with this: banks or telecom companies?
Banks or
Telecom companies like
banks? Banks.
Okay, that's a different answer I expected.
Hey, simple logic.
Telecom companies like Vodafone and all are all set to make.
No. I will tell you. At least as an individual person, a common man, I know banks much more than the telecom companies. Neither I know the technology nor I know the law which governs them. And which government would come from which retrospective effect demands, I don't know. That's why I said banks.
Okay. Sir, IT industry or real estate?
IT.
Okay. Is it FD, fixed deposits, or gold?
A fixed deposit with a good company. With a liquidity period inbuilt.
Okay. Sir, mutual funds or shares?
100% shares.
Yeah, even I was.
गेली 32 वर्षात त्या फील्डचं बीट खातोय काहीतरी जागो.
सर सगळे दुनियेतले लोक म्युच्युअल फंड्स मार्केटिंग करायला आहेत.
मी म्युच्युअल फंड इन्व्हेस्टमेंट्स वरती एक इंडिपेंडेंट सेशन घ्यायला तयार आहे.
Okay, sir, we'll take it up then. Sir, in this COVID scenario, now these two questions are related to COVID and post-COVID things. Risk or opportunity?
COVID is a risk or opportunity?
No, not COVID. All this investment seen right now, whether to take it as a risky perspective or as an opportunist.
No, there are opportunities, but those are the risky opportunities. You have to be on your guard, 100%. It is a combination of both. There are opportunities, but those are risks involved. You have to keep a watch on it. As I always say in Marathi, की गुंतवणूक हा काळजी करण्याचा नाही, काळजी घेण्याचा विषय आहे. That is the apt scenario of this.
Okay, sir. And what do you think, China or America? See, considering that many people before COVID had moved to China with their businesses, even in one of my case, a very running company here, they closed down and moved to China. So now, what do you think? Because and in one of the latest sessions, one of the speakers said that however we may not like China or like China, whatever it is, we cannot say that, for next 5 years or 7 years, we can do without China. So what would be your choice?
I will reply in two ways, although it's a rapid fire question. I fully agree with what your earlier speaker has said, because all the existing tie-ups with China, which we have, we will have to continue because the exit clauses which China puts in are very severe. I know it personally because I was heading a global depository operations 10 years back. And at that point of time, China was my major client or a partner. So I know it. Point number one. And point number two, we will be able to answer this question after November once US presidential election results are declared. Because if the Donald Trump comes, at least he is a known devil. If someone else comes, we do not know what will happen because the way in which Donald Trump is pitching over there, he is saying कि मोदी मेरा दोस्त है, मोदी मेरा यह है, मोदी मेरा त्यों है, then probably if there's some other person comes in, he will take a revenge on it. Point number one. Point number two, even otherwise, if you see the history of a US presidential election, even if Donald Trump comes back, which I described as a known devil, to put it into
Yeah.
that jargon, the history shows that any presidential who has coming re-elected, even after he is re-elected, he is always cautious and he is inward looking as far as his first year term is concerned. And even otherwise, he is saying कि ये green card नहीं होगा, वो green card नहीं होगा. So barring that, America will be able to evaluate only in November. But given the existing scenario, we can't go do away with China.
So what will be your choice, Trump or Biden? One person is also asking.
Trump.
Yeah, me too.
Trump. Again, non devils.
Yes.
अरे भाई क्या कितना रिस्क और चैलेंज लेके at the age of 60.
Sir, so with this, thank you very much for a really unusual and interesting session, because many a times the economic angle is lost upon us. Although we are dealing with finances day in day out, the economic angle and the overview of economies is not a very normal thing to look into, and you have given us a view to look at things, a perspective, and we really thank you for that. So on behalf of entire Pune branch of WIRC as well as all the participants, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Yes.
a lot.
Sir, one last question was there. I had kept it purposely. तुमची पुस्तकं इंग्लिश मध्ये आहेत का?
आता त्याने मी उत्तर दिलं 3 येत आहेत, आली की मी कळवतो. तोपर्यंत मराठी हवी असतील तर मी केव्हाही देईन.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.